It's Infowars Nightly News. Be sure and check the website, InfowarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv/news. We're now joined by longtime liberty activist Gary Franchi, who's been very successful in everything he's done, from promoting Aaron Russo's great film, America, Freedom to Fascism, to making documentary films and producing his own daily TV show, The Reality Report. I wanted to get Gary on to talk about his ideas of how we can hopefully even energize the population more to a higher level to ensure that Ron Paul wins the Republican nomination for president in 2012. Gary, great to have you here with us, my friend.
Alex, thanks for having me on this new format. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on the work you've been doing as well. Liberty is rising, and tyranny is certainly freaking out about it. And later I've got a question about Illinois, because you're up there with the 75 years the guy's facing because he dared film the police in public. But first, this hoax that Ron Paul can't win, even though he's a top-tier candidate in the top three in every poll, every straw poll. What's your view on that? Is the hoax successful?
Actually, I believe the hoax is going to backfire on itself, because when you have the media parroting talking points that are being handed down from on high, and the people seeing different results in their own investigative research online, these two worlds collide, and it causes the American people to realize what's actually happening and make the sound judgments that we hope that they would make. So I think in the end, this hoax is going to backfire, and it's up to the alternative media, it's up to the people themselves to make the ultimate choice.
Well, the hoax began to backfire just a few weeks ago when even The Daily Show had this huge compilation of every network saying the same thing. Well, number one is this, number two is that, number four is this person, never mentioning who was number three. Or in polls where he was number two, they would mention number one and number three. Or if he won the New Hampshire straw poll, which is even more coveted than Iowa, no coverage. So it has backfired, but still, some people say, yeah, I like Ron Paul, but he can't win. Ron Paul wasn't even in the top 5 3.5 years ago in the 2008 election. He's in the top 3 right now, and I think it's mission number 1 to get the word out that he is the only person who isn't an establishment candidate, the only person who isn't bought and paid for like Obama, Rick Perry, people like Mr. Carbon Tax, Mr. Obamacare author Mitt Romney. What's your take on the two guys that the system is pushing, Mitt Romney and Rick Perry?
Well, the world is soon going to see our first attack ad that we're going to be producing. You're going to hear, the people are hearing it here first, actually, with our Revolution PAC. We're producing a commercial to go after Romney, to go after Perry, and expose them as the plastic men that they are. And I think that they're just the polished central casting figures that the American people have been sort of groomed to accept. They spit out the talking points that come down from the Republican Party. They toe the party line, and they are easily corruptible through all the different lobbying money and through their dirty campaign finance work. So the people are going to see this through the work that we're doing with the Revolution PAC and through alternative media.
Isn't it coffin nails for Perry and, of course, for Mitt Romney for their campaigns? If Ron Paul brings up that Mitt Romney's a carbon taxer and gets praised by Al Gore, that Mitt Romney wrote Obamacare, that Rick Perry was the chief of staff for the presidential campaign of Al Gore, and then in '93 supported Hillary Care, NAFTA superhighways, Bilderberg meetings, forced inoculations of Gardasil. I mean, Rick Perry, it's hard to imagine somebody worse and more fake than this guy. I think Ron Paul needs to go on the attack. I know he's a gentleman, but now is the time to go on the attack. What's your view on that?
Well, I think we have a short window of opportunity where Ron could actually come out and go on the offensive. You know, those two candidates, Rick Perry and Mitt Romney, they have so much baggage. They have so many angles that we could pierce their armor with. That, I mean, you went down a whole laundry list. Ron Paul, I believe he should go on the attack, but there's two schools of thought. You know, taking the high road, and then there's people that can go on the offensive, like we can through different media outlets, through different PACs and organizations. We can do the dirty work and the heavy lifting that Ron Paul just can't do.
Well, I agree with that at a certain point, but when I had Ron Paul on the radio a few days ago, he said, look, I want their agenda and policies to speak for themselves. But I said, Congressman, respectfully, the public doesn't know. They think it's a joke that these guys are big carbon taxers and socialist Hillary care lovers. You need to get the word out. And he said, well, I do see your point. And so I think it's important for Ron Paul himself to come out against these guys. And when Ron Paul finally agreed with me was when I said, look at Rick Perry coming out and saying he's now against the Federal Reserve. This shows how successful the message of liberty has become, that Ron Paul isn't just some voice in the wilderness, that establishment neocons are now having to basically take on his political colorations.
I think Ron will have an opportunity if his handlers allow him to take the gloves off. Ron has an established cadre of individuals around him that are assisting him through the campaign, and I think that they do have a specific strategy, and it's hard for them to deviate from some of those strategies. So I think the only opportunity he will have is either if he puts out his own campaign ads, going on the offensive, or if he just goes after them like a pit bull in some of these next upcoming debates. The debates get a lot of coverage, and I think as we're dwindling down to these top-tier candidates, the opportunities are going to increase. So he's got to capitalize on those moments.
Well, he certainly does. It's just that Rick Perry and Mitt Romney are simply Barack Obama 2.0, another plastic, fake Ken doll whose real policies are the polar opposite of what they claim. Shifting into other issues, Ron Paul has been spot on about the inflation tax, the private central banks wrecking our society. And now even the Wall Street Journal has reported internal memos at Goldman Sachs are telling some of their biggest investors, get ready for a total implosion of our economy in the next 6 months, but they're telling their general investors everything's going to be rosy. Does that concern you that even Goldman Sachs internally is talking about a total collapse of society?
Well, I think absolutely. And Alex, you have been talking about this for years. Ron Paul's been talking about this for years. We've been reporting on these things for many, many years. So it really shouldn't come as any surprise that when you have a nation based on a fiat currency, you have a Federal Reserve System that bailouts trillions upon trillions of dollars, just devaluing the currency. That there are results. There are results that occur based on those decisions, and collapse is one of them. So it's up to the American people to brace for impact as we move into this fallout that's going to happen from these decisions.
Gary, I agree with you, and I think it's absolutely central, something that Ron Paul's talked a lot about when I gave a speech with him 6 years ago outside Austin in Bastrop. He made the point that when they implode the global system because of the derivatives time bomb, this impossible to pay back fraudulent Ponzi scheme black hole, that the system that has engineered the crisis is going to pose as a savior, and that it was essential to expose that they were the authors of all of the economic and political pain that we're going through, or they will pose as the saviors and get even more power out of it. In closing, I want to get your take on a story that's gotten international attention. A 41-year-old mechanic who filmed police in public. He has now been charged and is facing life in prison for taping the police. And the police know that federal and state courts have thrown this out. There's no perception of privacy when you're in public. They know the law doesn't say that, but people are actually being sent to prison for videotaping police. I think this is one of the scariest things I've seen happen in modern times, that police and then prosecutors would actually go after people for doing something they know is legal and then tell basically brain-dead juries that it was the law that they can't do this and send people to prison. What's your take on that?
Well, the law they're using is the Illinois wiretap statute, and that states that you cannot videotape somebody and include audio. When I used to work for a large retail outfit and we would do security and we would actually monitor shoplifters, one of the things, that was one of the main points that we were told, is that we cannot audio tape the people who we are actually reviewing, the shoppers. So we could only use video. And now every single camera, every single iPhone or whatever you want to use records both. The only way to get around that situation in the state of Illinois is either change the law completely, or you have to wear a placard on you that says, I am not using audio, I'm only recording video. It's unfortunate that we have a day and age where police feel threatened. These are the people who are tasked to protect and serve us, and if we're not able to hold them accountable, if we're not able to record their civic duties and hold them accountable for it, then this nation is lost. So we have to attack the situation on multiple fronts by raising awareness for this statute itself that needs to be reversed. We also need to raise awareness that the police, if they're going to put cameras on us in every street corner, at every red light station, and on the dashboards of every police cruiser, if they're going to put cameras on us, then we have the equal right to put cameras on them in the same exact capacity.
Well, Gary,
so it's up to the American people to step up and fight this.
Well, Gary, that's my point, is that according to the court rulings, I understand they're saying it's the law, but the truth is, in a private business, you can record audio and video. They're just claiming you don't have this right. And just like police have squad car videos and then audio mics on their ties or on their shirt, there's no perception of privacy. Wiretapping is going and tapping into somebody's phone line, or wiretapping is planting recording devices in somebody's house where there's privacy. And that's why it's being thrown out of court. But it's really a scary phenomenon. Well, Gary, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Go ahead and make your point.
I was just going to say they're misapplying the law by stating that the wiretapping is being done through a camera with a microphone, and you just stated that it has to be done through a telephone of some sort.
Exactly. That's what's scary about this, is that they know the courts have been throwing this out for years with 12 states trying this, and the system doesn't care. They just keep going and going and going. Well, folks can find out more at your different websites. Tell us about the reality report briefly, and then also the new political PAC you've set up to try to run ads nationally going after those that are demonizing Ron Paul.
Reality Report, we put out a weekly show, and we try to cover some of the hot button current events issues and give people solutions to act on those issues. RealityReport.tv is the website for that. And the Revolution PAC is a super PAC that we organize with leading scholars, authors, and activists such as Tom Woods. And our focus is on raising funds so that we can put out high-quality professional commercial advertisements to support Ron Paul. And the beautiful thing about our Super PAC is that we can accept unlimited donations. There's no cap on how much an individual, corporation, or organization can donate to us. So we have a great opportunity to raise literally millions upon millions of dollars from wealthy individuals. So we hope that people out there will seek us out, go to revolutionpac.com, and support our efforts to get Ron Paul into the White House.
Well, Gary Franchi, you're definitely a man in the arena, and great luck. Go with God when it comes to going after Rick Perry and Mitt Romney with their real records. Thank you so much, Gary, for joining us. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there goes Gary Franchi. That is it for the second edition of Infowars Nightly News. I want everybody to have a great holiday coming up on Monday, and we'll be back here live Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central. That's 8 p.m. Eastern for Infowars Nightly News. The websites are InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv/news. I'm Alex Jones, signing off from the front lines of the Infowar. Have a great and blessed weekend.